Take your dealership to the next level with over 6,800 on-air interviews with dealer and industry leaders. CBT News, dealers' most trusted source for news, content, and analysis. Welcome to CBT News with Cheyenne Malone.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheyenne Malone. It is Wednesday. Thanks for watching CBT News. Let's get started.
General Motors is adjusting its 2024 EV production target due to slower than expected demand growth. CFO Paul Jacobson announced at the Deutsche Bank Global Automotive Industry Conference that GM will now aim to produce between 200,000 and 250,000 EVs, down from the initial target of 200,000 to 300,000. Despite this adjustment, GM remains optimistic about achieving, quote, variable profit positive results by the end of the year, where EV sales revenue exceeds direct production cost. In addition, GM plans to invest $850 million in its self-driving subsidiary Cruise to support its relaunch. The company's EV lineup for the year includes models like the GMC Hummer, Cadillac Lyriq, Chevrolet Blazer, and the upcoming Cadillac Escalade IQ. Kia is recalling over 2,000 of its 2024 EV9 models in the U.S. due to inadequate headliner protection discovered during pre-production testing. The issue affects EV9 light models built between September 25, 2023 and March 21, 2024 at Kia's Korean plant. Despite strong sales of nearly 8,000 units in the first 5 months of 2024, Kia identified the problem, which does not meet federal safety requirements, and will replace the headliner's impact-absorbing plates free of charge. Notification letters will be sent out on July 31, 2024. In May, new vehicle prices in the U.S. remained lower year over year for the 8th consecutive month due to higher inventory levels, with an average transaction price slightly over $48,000, nearly unchanged from April. According to Kelley Blue Book, this ATP represents a 0.9% decrease compared to May 2023. The current increased incentives, now at their highest level since May 2021, have made new vehicles more affordable, and this has helped to boost sales. The supply of vehicles has also increased by 51% year over year, helping to keep prices stable. Although prices for high-volume models like the Ford F-Series and GMC Sierra have risen, more affordable options like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V have also seen strong sales. This reflects a diverse market with varying prices ranges and growing number of vehicles being sold under $40,000. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety recently surveyed nearly 2,000 U.S. drivers. The survey found that over 60% of drivers support their vehicles providing audible and visual warnings when exceeding speed limits. This survey explored attitudes towards Intellect speed assistance systems, which use speed sign recognition cameras or GPS-linked data to inform drivers of speed limits and warn them when they are exceeded. The agency emphasized the importance of these systems, noting that speeding contributes to over 12,000 U.S. traffic fatalities annually. With the European Union mandating ISA systems in all new vehicles starting next month, over 80% of surveyed U.S. drivers expressed interest in features displaying current speed limits, and more than 70% favored a subtle tone to alert speed limit changes. Additionally, about half were open to technologies that make the accelerator harder to press or automatically restrict speed. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Jonah Berger, professor at the Wharton School and international best-selling author, to discuss engaging concepts from his latest book, Magic Words: What to Say to Get Your Way.
Take your dealership to the next level with over 6,800 on-air interviews with dealer and industry leaders. CBT News, dealers' most trusted source for news, content, and analysis.
Talk to us about the power of communication, language, and why it's so important to understand, because it's something that we, often take for granted.
Yeah, language is part of everything we do, right? You and I are talking to one another right now using language. Language is how salespeople sell. It's how leaders lead. It's how marketers create advertisements to convince consumers. But while we spend a lot of time thinking about the ideas we want to get across, when we're making a presentation for a meeting, for example, what are the big points that we want to hit? Or when we have a sales pitch, what are the big ideas we want to get across? we think a lot less about the specific words we use to communicate those ideas. And unfortunately, that's a mistake because subtle shifts in our language can have a big effect on our own impact. Using the right word in a request, for example, can make an audience about 50% more likely to say yes. Rather than saying we like something, saying we recommend it can make people about a third more likely to do what we're interested in them doing. And in all sorts of domains, from the language people might use in, say, a loan application to the language someone might have in email at the office, provides insight into who they are and how likely they are to do certain things in the future. And so the key question is just, what are these magic words and how can we take advantage of their power?
And so you talk about magic words and the concepts, right? It's identity and agency. Talk to us, elaborate on that for us.
Yeah, so I talk about 6 main types of language in the book, and I put them in a handy framework to help them be more memorable. It's an acronym that spells the word SPEAK. The S is for the language of similarity and difference. The P is for the language of posing questions. The E is for the language of emotion. The A is for the language of agency and identity. I couldn't come up with a K, so we've got 2 C's at the end. One of those is the language of certainty, and the other is the language of concreteness. And so under each of those is a variety of psychology and behavioral science principles that helps us understand why that language is so impactful, as well as some specific actionable approaches to use it. And so let me give you just one. You asked about sort of the language of agency and identity. Often we think about language as a way to communicate information. But language also says something about what it means to do something and who someone is. So a number of years ago, researchers were interested in how can we be more persuasive? How can we persuade others to do something? And so they went into a little kid's classroom and they asked kids to do something kids are not very interested in doing, which is cleaning up. And for some of them, they used a usual approach. Hey, can you help clean up the classroom? But for others, they took a very slightly, but importantly different approach. They said, rather than could you help clean up, could you be a helper and clean up? Now, the word help and the word helper are basically the same. It's only a couple letters difference on the end. Yet asking people to be a helper led to about a third more increase in people actually helping. And it's not just kids in classrooms. Research on voting, for example, shows that rather than asking people to vote, ask them to be a voter makes them about 12% more likely to turn out at the polls. And so what it turns out about being is it's about the difference between actions and identity.
Well, that does it for us for today. But remember, it is easy to stay up to date with the most recent news and trends influencing the retail automotive industry. All you have to do is follow us. We're on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm Cheyenne Malone. You have a good one.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content.